What makes you think her murder was premeditated?
Usual thing, sir. Little facts that plain don't fit, you know, sir. Anything I hate is one of those little facts. Doesn't ever seem to matter how small it is either, sir. Could be this big. Like you left the credit cards behind. I mean, why does a street robber grab money from a wallet and leave the credit cards? They're worth a pretty good piece of change on the black market. You see what I mean, sir?
Credit cards. What else?
Oh, there was an alligator bag, a diamond ring.
I doubt very much if a robber in a hurry on the edge of panic is going to take the time to pull the ring off of Claire's finger.
You mean, sir, you mean if she was dead, he couldn't get it off?
Well, she is, I believe, isn't she?
Well, yes, sir, but he could have asked her for it first, before he shot her.
I remember Claire trying to get that ring off at a party. Some silly game people were playing. And she couldn't, not even with soap. And you can check that out with her husband. He was the one that asked her to take it off. He was on the other team.
Boy, when you say you studied, you aren't kidding, are you, sir? Well, then what about the alligator bag?
An alligator bag that is 6 years old is apt to be worn looking. It doesn't look like it's worth very much. Probably isn't.
How do you happen to know all that much about her bag, sir?
I gave it to her.
Well, that takes care of that, doesn't it? Right. Well, I guess then, there's only the credit card, sir.
If the killer is an idiot.
I beg your pardon, sir. I don't quite follow your meaning there.
Well, you don't kill a woman and then sell the credit cards with her name on them. Police have been known to bribe fences before, you know.
Well, of course. I'm sorry, sir. I should have thought of that myself. Jeez, I guess you're right, aren't you? Not a lot to go on, is there?
Cup of coffee?
Sir. Accept the panic.
The panic?
Yes, sir. I might have something in this area. See what you think. Mrs. Daly was shot at a distance of 30 feet, and she was shot in the back. Are you with me so far?
Yes, I think I can grasp that.
Now, Tony, he's the owner of the deli. He said that the killer was cool as a cucumber. That's a direct quote, sir. So that means that when Mrs. Daly tried to run, that's when he lost his cool. See, that's when he panicked and he shot her. But he hit her right in the heart, sir, and at a distance of 30 feet while she was running. Now, that's hard to do in a panic. What do you think?
I think that I'd better try and help you. Because you're going to ask me to, aren't you?
You did it again, sir. You read my mind, would you? Oh, that would be an honor. Detective Lucerne helping me. Wait till I told my wife. It turns out that it probably isn't a woman, sir. You see, it was actor's makeup. Not the kind of makeup that women use in the street. Pancake.
Women very often use a brand of makeup that's made up for actors, like Pancake. I, for example, use precisely that product myself.
Yes, sir, I know.
Yes, I'm sure you do by now.
No, but the point here is something else, sir. You see, the lab found traces of 4 different shades of makeup on that mask. And women, you know, they don't usually change shades that much. So, in the light of that, sir, I got to thinking.
Where did it lead you to this time?
I guess, sir.
A professional makeup man?
Right, sir.
And then to my makeup table?
Oh, no, sir, no, sir. No, I only came here to see you. Honest, I was just fooling around with the shoes just to pass the time for something to do until you came in. No, I didn't look at another thing while I was here.
That means you didn't have to. You already know something. Where did you look?
Yes, sir. I'll give you 3 guesses.
Studio wardrobe department.
You got it in one, sir. That's absolutely amazing. You're right. The Parker and the ski mask. That's where they both came from.
And the gun?
Oh, come on, sir. You're putting me on. You know that guns don't come from the wardrobe department.
Of course, how stupid of me.
No, that's the prop department, sir, not the wardrobe department. How does a smart man like Lieutenant Lucerne make a mistake like that?
Because you're not talking to Lieutenant Lucerne at the moment, are you, Lieutenant? You're talking to Ward Fowler.
Well, what's the difference, sir?
The difference is Ward Fowler is under suspicion of murder. And a man under that kind of threat is apt to make mistakes. He's apt to get rattled.
Well, whoever said anything about Ward Fowler being under suspicion of murder?
Lieutenant Lucerne did.
He did? Well, how did he come to that conclusion, sir?
He had to face the same fact you did.
What fact is that, sir?
There are only 4 people who could have murdered Claire.
You mean the 4 people who knew where Claire Daly was going to be that night?
Exactly, and only one of those is instantly associated with makeup, wardrobe, and props.
Well, now, let's see. Mrs. Daly took the call from her secretary in your dressing room when she said that she was going to, what's his name, sir? Tony's. You know Tony, sir. He's the one who,
If you tell me that one more time, I'm going to kill myself.
Sorry, sir. Have I said that before? So the number of people who knew where Claire Daly was going to be that night. Her secretary, Mr. Sid Daly, Mark.
I'm curious as to how Mark knew.
Well, sir, Mark offered to bring her a cheeseburger. And she told her secretary to tell him that she not only didn't want to go for, she didn't want a cheeseburger either, and that she was going to get a sandwich over at Tony's. And she said to tell her husband the same thing.
I see.
Well, no, you don't, sir. I mean, you must have seen before. Because you were in the room when she took the call, weren't you? She made it from this dressing room.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not in the habit of listening to other people's telephone calls. I didn't know that Claire was going to Tony's.
You didn't, sir?
Absolutely not, Lieutenant.
Then how did you know, sir, that there were only 4 people who knew where Claire Daly was going to be that night, and how did you know that you were one of them?
The same way you did. I asked Claire's secretary, and she informed me that the call was made from my room.
You did, sir?
Oh, yes, I did, Lieutenant.
Oh, that's very good, sir.
Thank you, Lieutenant. I believe you meant that.
Oh, I did, sir.
I'd say we make a rather good team, don't you?
Yeah, sort of like Sherlock Holmes and Watson, sir.
No. More like Sherlock Holmes and Sherlock Holmes. Lieutenant, you have something to say to me, don't you?
Yes, sir. I'm really sorry to bother you like this, sir. Just a couple of questions before my report on Sid Daly. It doesn't look like he could have done it, sir. He was with a girl, and she confirmed it.
I see. I'll tell you. Let's you and I discuss what I have to tell you first. And then we can both interrogate Ward Fowler. You see, as Lieutenant Lucerne, I have a rather unpleasant idea taking shape in my mind. Brandy?
Thank you, sir. What might that be, sir?
Well, that might be. And I'm speaking strictly as Lucerne, of course.
Of course.
Just might be. Unlikely as it may seem. Just might conceivably be Ward Fowler is the man we're after.
You mean the murderer?
Exactly.
No.
Yes. I know this comes as a shock to you. But let's think about it. Let's examine the possibilities.
Well, if you say so, sir, but I don't see where there could be possibly a motive. Why would Ward Fowler want to kill Claire Daly? Claire Daly made him famous.
That's what I was wondering. And then I got to thinking about the IOUs.
Oh, did you, sir?
Yes, oddly enough, I did. I'm speaking as Lucerne, of course.
Yes. Of course.
$500,000 in IOUs. Wow. I couldn't help wondering why, with all the money that Ward Fowler makes, he could owe Claire Daly that much. And then it hit me.
What hit you, sir?
Coffee?
Thank you.
Did you happen to see a show last August that had to do with a man who was being blackmailed by a woman?
Yes, sir, I did see that show, yes. He shot her.
Exactly.
Why would Claire Daly blackmail Ward Fowler? And how?
That's where I'm going to need your help, Lieutenant. Have you by any chance checked with the Toronto police by now?
Yes. Yes, as a matter of fact, I have.
I thought maybe you had. And they told you...
They told me that Charles Kipling was an alias.
And that's when you decided to have Ward Fowler's fingerprints checked with the FBI?
That is absolutely right, sir. You're amazing. Yes, it turns out that Ward Fowler's real name is not Charles Kipling. It's John Schnelling. And he's not a Canadian. He's an American. And he went to Canada after he deserted during the Korean War.
There you are. There's your motive. I mean, how would it look if America's favorite detective were known to be a Korean War deserter? Or hadn't that occurred to you?
Oh, yes, sir, it did occur to me, but there's something wrong with your thinking, if you forgive a criticism, sir. I look at it this way. If Ward Fowler's career was ruined, she wouldn't be able to blackmail him anymore, would she? He wouldn't have any more money. And on top of that, the show would fold. And it would be her show. Do you understand my point, sir? I mean, does an intelligent woman go and destroy her only means of income?
I don't know. Does she? It's what that character did in the show last August. It's the implicit threat of every blackmailer. Pay me or I'll ruin you.
Can I ask you a question, sir? Why don't we just ask Ward Fowler if he was being blackmailed or not?
I asked him.
And?
He claims not. He claims he has what he calls a weakness. And this weakness has cost him a great deal, and Claire Daly was kind enough to lend him enough money to cover his rather extensive losses.
And do you believe him, sir?
Taking your argument for him into account, I think so. I'm not sure. Do you?
Well, it's hard to say, isn't it? I mean, taking your argument against him into account, I mean, you know he had an awful lot to conceal. Did you know that? For example, the Army unit that he deserted from was the artillery. He was an expert marksman. I checked on that, too.
He never told me that.
Ah, you see? You never know, do you?
Good afternoon, Mr. Winters. And good afternoon.
That was quite a performance in there, Fielding. $25,000. Jeez. Last time I looked, you're about to barbecue those guys over an open fire. I guess money talks, huh?
If that's an accusation, my friend, be prepared to back it up in court.
Look, how those schmucks waste their money is their business. I want to talk about Vicky's book.
Look,
Look, I just talked to my friend in New York. You had her novel rejected.
that's a lie.
You want me to prove it? I'm a pretty good investigator, remember?
I'm warning you once, my friend. Stay away from things that are none of your business.
Vicky is my business.
I think not. Her future is with me, not off pursuing some meaningless pipe dream of a literary career.
You know what your problem is, Fielding? You're a sick, possessive old man. You want her tied to you forever.
She's my child.
She's not your child. She's your foster daughter. And you want my opinion? Your attitude towards her isn't exactly fatherly. I guess that must have hit pretty close to home, huh?
Stay away from her, Winters.
What are you gonna do? Kill me?
Yes.
How? Talk me to death? Let me tell you something, old man. I'm not only gonna take you down professionally, I'm gonna take away Vicky as well. You count on it.
Disgruntled employee. Ex-employee.
Mr. Chase?
I'm sorry, I don't have time right now.
I'm from the police, sir. Lieutenant Columbo, homicide.
I'm terribly sorry, Lieutenant. This has been a dreadful experience for me. Did the officer inside tell you what happened?
Yes, sir. He told me that you and the victim were talking on the phone when he was shot.
Bizarre. I heard all these noises, shots. And I called out his name. No response. Nothing. As soon as I realized what had happened, I called 911 and I drove over here immediately. The police were here when I arrived.
When was that, sir?
I'm not sure exactly. About 4:30. Jerry called 4 o'clock. I live in the Malibu Mountains. About 30 minutes. It's about right.
Officer Davis tells me that you have some kind of a radio show.
It's a listener call-in show. Our topics are social, political. Jerry was my chief investigator.
I couldn't help overhearing that conversation you had with this fellow Arthur now, and I just wanted to ask you, do you really believe that Mr. Winters could have been killed by someone he was investigating?
Without question. I have powerful enemies out there. Either that, or he was shot in the back by a jealous boyfriend.
A boyfriend?
Yes. Jerry was gay, Lieutenant. Not that his sexual orientation made any difference to me, but those people do have a reputation for unusual behavior.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't know, sir. You know, most of my experience has been with crazy husbands killing wives and crazy wives killing husbands.
Yes, I know what you mean. In the event that Jerry's death was related to his work, I have files at home. Why don't you come back with me, and I'll turn them over to you. They could provide you with a lead.
Oh, well, that's very generous, sir, but I still have some work to do
No
here.
problem. I'll wait right here.
You sure it's no bother?
Not at all. What matters most is bringing Jerry's killer to justice. Take whatever time you need.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Oh, one more thing, sir. Officer Davis tells me that you never actually went inside the house.
No, I wasn't permitted.
It's a little odd, sir, because just a second ago you said Mr. Winters had been shot in the back.
Yes.
I was wondering, just wondering, how you knew that, sir, when you hadn't seen the body.
I presume if Jerry saw someone standing in his house with a gun in his hand, he might have made some small mention of it to me while I was speaking with him.
Yeah, good point. You're absolutely right, sir. Yes. Excuse me. I'll just be a few moments. Can you think of somebody else who might have had a motive to kill Mr. Winters? Besides yourself, of course.
What the hell are you talking about?
The hotel the other day. You threatened the victim, sir, in front of a dozen witnesses.
Oh, I see. Yes. I lose my temper and say something silly, and the gaggle of tourists take me at face value. Really, Lieutenant, you can't be serious. I have a short temper. I must have fired and hired Jerry Winters a dozen times in the past few years.
Well, if you say so, sir, but I gotta tell you, it's a lucky thing for you were on the phone with the guy when he got killed. I mean, another homicide detective could have taken that threat to heart.
Well, I hate to cut this short, but I'm due back at the radio station. Please, you finish your tea, and if there's anything else, don't hesitate.
I won't, and thank you very much. Tea's terrific. I'm feeling better already. Oh, Mr. Chase! Excuse me, sir. Just one more thing, sir.
And what would that be?
It's about the files, Mr. Winters' files.
Yes.
I was talking to your daughter, sir, and she told me that most of his files were back at the office and not at your house.
So?
Just curious, sir, if that's true, why you took me back to your house and not the radio station?
Lieutenant, it's true that most of the complete files are back at the radio station. But I knew that my daughter was working there at that time. And forgive me if this sounds cowardly, but I didn't want to be the one to have to tell her what had happened. There's nothing more. You'll excuse me.
Certainly, sir. Sorry to bother you. Thank you. And thanks again for the tea. Oh, Mr. Chase. There is, sir, just one more thing.
With you, Lieutenant, there's always just one more thing. Do you have a problem with short-term memory? Perhaps you should consult a physician.
Maybe we could discuss this privately in your office.
I don't have the time.
Sir, I'm having trouble with the phone call.
5 minutes, but only 5.
Here's the thing, sir. We check phone records as a matter of routine. For example, Mr. Winters, he called the radio station a lot, obviously. Also, Mr. Malloy, also Mr. Luke Caton, literary agent. Oh, and by the way, I spoke to him briefly. He says that he's interested in representing a book written by your daughter.
Would you get to the point?
Sorry, sir. Well, we not only checked out Mr. Winters' phone, sir. We checked out yours.
Mine?
Your house in the mountains out in Malibu. And here's my problem, sir. You said that you spoke with Mr. Winters and that you heard shots. And then when he didn't answer, you called 911. Then you got in your car and you drove to Mr. Winters' house. Well, sir, that's not true. The phone company has no record of your having made a 911 call from your house.
Is that it? Is that your problem? Good Lord, Lieutenant, you waste more time worrying about minutia.
Sir, I don't think it's minutia.
I never said I made the call from the house.
Are you sure about that?
Absolutely. I was so distraught with what I heard that I rushed out to the car to drive to Jerry's. It was only when I was actually on the road that I had the presence of mind to notify the police. I called 911 from the car phone.
From the car? Well, there you go, sir. That explains it.
If that is finally it.
And that explains the other thing.
What other thing?
The time, sir. I've really been troubled by the time.
What the hell are you talking about?
Well, sir, you have one of those computer voice time codes on your answering machine, and when I played back the tape, I was able to place the time of the shots at exactly 4:02.
Yes, Jerry called me precisely at 4 o'clock.
And 911 has a record of receiving a call at 4:06. And I'm thinking all day, what did you do during those 4 minutes? I mean, 4 minutes is a long time. But yes, now I see what happened. You heard the shots, then you ran from the house, you got in your car, you started the car down the road.
And then, when I had a chance to think more clearly, I called police emergency.
You don't know how glad I am to have this explained to me. I was beginning to think I was going out of my mind. Well, sir, I don't want to take any more of your time. I know you're busy, but I do want to thank you. Thank you very much.
What are you doing in here?
Oh, good morning, sir.
How did you get in here?
Through the patio, sir. Mr. Caton drove me up this morning. My own car is laid up in the shop. You know, sir, I can see the resemblance. Beautiful woman, that lady, and warm, too. You can see it in the eyes.
You were told to stay away from me, Columbo.
That I was, sir, but unfortunately, in a murder investigation, you have to go where the trail leads you to.
The trail leads here.
Yes, sir, I'm afraid it does.
Perhaps if you were to speak directly to your chief of police.
I'll talk to him, sir, but that's not going to change the fact that you killed Mr. Winters to prevent him from running off with your daughter.
Victoria running off with Jerry Winters? I hardly think so. Fielding Chase put me
I don't
through the
mean in a
chief.
romantic sense, sir. He was helping her escape from you. We have a witness.
What witness?
A man who says you offered him $10,000 to kill Jerry Winters.
Barren nonsense.
I don't think so, sir. This guy, he sounds very credible.
Lieutenant, do you have any idea how many enemies I have out there? People who would do anything, say anything to bring me down. Where is this person?
He's down at headquarters.
Well, suppose we just see about this. I'll confront your witness. And when I do, I'll destroy him. And after that, I'll start on you. And then maybe the rest of the Los Angeles Police Department. Let's go.
You don't mind driving, sir?
Looking forward to it.
Just one more thing.